I know many of us here on the internet watch couples content, and I was one of millions who really enjoyed Kristy and Desmond and their cooking videos and the Is It Cake videos and just watching their little boys grow up, and I've always really enjoyed family content. I think it's important to sort of address the way that we engage in parasocial relationships, because it's not necessarily the healthiest thing, what I've been seeing going around online. I've seen lots of hot takes around if Desmond's in the wrong and all men being the same, and if Kristy's in the wrong and the way that this divorce may affect their children. I do understand that people are making somewhat of a sacrifice when they decide they want to be family vloggers or involve their children or their spouse in their content, but I do think we're losing a little bit of the human element to the situation. You know, their divorce is not necessarily our business. I've seen a lot of women online talking about how they're losing faith in marriage as a whole, or they're losing faith in the opposite sex because of what's happening in one person's marriage, or in two people rather's marriage. And I think there's a danger to this because we don't know these people personally. And this is outside of just Desmond and Kristy, obviously. It makes me think a little bit about how Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber are often in the press for what seems like him mistreating her and her staying regardless of whatever he does, and how she manifested marrying him and how she's destiny swapped with Selena Gomez. And it just gets to a point where I find it a little bit ridiculous because these are people who we don't know. And I wonder how much further ahead we could all be in our individual lives if we spent that amount of energy that we're spending observing other people's relationships. Where could we be in our own relationships? Where would you be in your relationship with yourself if you weren't outsourcing that amount of energy? And it kind of makes me think a little bit about shows like Love is Blind and Too Hot to Handle and whatever. And there was a lot of content on TikTok about what we think of each person who's decided to go on those shows. And I guess I just want to remind people that yes, these people are capitalizing off of the entertainment value of being on these dating shows or putting their family online for people to essentially make or create an opinion about. I do want to remind everyone that you should not be more invested in somebody else's relationship than your own. And also, it's disheartening to see people say that they're losing faith in dating or in the idea of marriage because they're watching something not work out for someone else. Desmond posted a statement that says, "I want to begin by apologizing to Kristy, her family, and everyone who's been impacted by the public attention surrounding this situation. I know this news has been disappointing for many, and I'm truly sorry for the hurt it's caused," and blah, blah, blah. And I want to ask you to be critical of this. Is it not strange that what's happening in your marriage is involving millions of people? And I want to ask you, is it strange that you're interested in the first place? Because you don't know them personally. You don't know what drove him. You don't know what drove her to the behaviors that ended up in their demise. I think we should be present and use our discernment when it comes to these parasocial relationships that we have with people we don't know online. Like, you have to remember you don't know them, and you're only seeing a curated version of what they put before your eyes. Think about how many people you've known in your personal life who may show up a certain way on social media, but you know them to be a hot mess behind closed doors. That doesn't mean that they're not also that version. It just means that there is more depth to the situation. And using that discernment is what can stop you from trying to apply their situation to your life behind closed doors, because you know that there's more nuance to them as a whole. I guess the point of this video is just reminding everyone to use their critical thinking skills, and remember, you only know what you were shown. It's also super strange to me when people post content like this, like he was growing tired of her, everything was dead and Kristy just didn't pay enough attention. It's like, are we all unemployed, or we really have that amount of time to dedicate to a couple that we've literally never met in person? It is very possible that the people who are posting these are just trying to garner some sort of, visibility or attention, and therefore they're trying to find the most, clickbaity title that they can find. If that's not the case, and people are truly thinking that they've paid enough attention to this relationship to know the ins and outs of it all, it's just strange. I also want to remind you to stop romanticizing other people's lives. Some of the people who have all of the money in the world, or who have all of the following, Kristy has 17.2 million followers on TikTok alone. And I think that just goes to show that sometimes people's lives can look very flashy, or they can have what you want, and it still might not be all that you would want, or exactly the way that you'd want it. So try and keep your mind and your eyes on your own lane and be thankful for what you have in front of you, because you never know the battles other people are fighting. And maybe in the best of lights, maybe they're not fighting any battles, and that'd be wonderful, but it's still important to love where you are and love the blessings that you've been given at the pace you've been given them. And that brings me to my final point. You were made with intention, on purpose, and the things that you're going through are for a purpose. I love you so much, and I will see you soon. Bye.